Come December, mid-December of 2016, I started to feel a little sick. I started to come down with the flu. I was coming back home from a friend's MMA fight and something just felt off. I went home and immediately passed out. I woke up covered in sweat and the whole weekend I spent in bed. Then I went to urgent care on Monday after I called out sick. They did strep tests, they did the basic routine, and they couldn't come up with anything. So I went home. That Tuesday, I couldn't stomach food, water, anything. And I went back to urgent care. They saw that my vitals were all over. My blood pressure was really low, my heart rate was really high, and I was super dehydrated. So they immediately sent me to Putnam Hospital for IV fluids. When I got there, I was in the waiting room, and the IV bag was right next to me in the room, but they didn't put it in me because they wanted to do a chest x-ray first to see if there's any fluid in my lungs. When they did the chest x-ray, they saw that my heart was slightly enlarged. They thought it was a big issue. I thought, oh, I'm an athlete, I do a lot of cardio work, and the heart's like any other muscle and it grows. They kind of agreed, but they wanted to do an EKG just to make sure. They did the EKG and the numbers were all off. Once they gave me an echocardiogram, they saw that my heart was very enlarged at the lower end. It was pumping about 30%, so it was at like heart transplant level. From there, I was immediately sent to their ICU, where I spent the night. So I woke up, there was a ton of doctors on top of me, everyone trying to get their own opinion, everyone trying to do their own test and figure out what was wrong. And that's when they knew they couldn't figure this out. They took me from Putnam Hospital, transported me to Westchester, and it wasn't until I was in the ambulance when I realized that it was serious. Like, this is gonna be a long, drawn-out process. We were there for a few days. Every test, they couldn't figure out what was wrong. They saw that there was an issue, but they didn't know what the problem was. They didn't know what was causing it. And this is from a heart specialist team. I remember the doctor told me that I had 1/3 of a chance that I was gonna live. It would be me recovering. It would be a long recovery process. It would be about 6 to 12 months. They also told me that there's a chance that I would need a heart transplant. But neither of those things bothered me as much as the last chance of my heart staying exactly the same. Not needing a heart transplant, but not being able to exert myself, not being able to do anything that I love to do, move any type of movement, and I would have to live an extremely sedentary lifestyle. Some people say it sounds kind of ridiculous, like, oh, you're more afraid of that than death. That's just not something that I would want to live with. A few days later, they couldn't come up with a solution, so the last thing they wanted to do, which was a very invasive procedure, would be to go through my neck to pull and do a biopsy of my heart and pull 4 bits from my heart. The whole team wanted to do it, but Dr. Gass, the head of the team, he's the one that said, let's see if he can fight it with immune cells, like immune cell boosters. Let's give him 4 days, pumping him with antibodies, and see if that changes anything. For the next 4 days, I started to improve. Once I started to improve, my mindset completely changed because I thought if I'm improving now, it can only go up. It's not gonna go down. And I'm thinking, I just wanna fight. Like that was something that was in my mind, the what if factor of like, what if I did fight? What if I did try to go far in MMA? What if I did try to go far in my career and like succeed? And that's all that was running through my head is like the things that I could have done. Not necessarily the things I failed at, not necessarily the things I did good at, but the what ifs. So that's kind of like the point where I made the decision to take a fight. So in the hospital, things were starting to improve. I was doing well. I started being able to move around a little bit. It would just be around my bed and then back down. And then it would be around my bed to the door and then back down. All of a sudden I went from being bedridden to doing a couple laps around the hospital. So I knew once I got out of the hospital, it's only just gonna improve. Even though they told me that there was still a possibility of me staying the same, in my head it wasn't gonna happen. I was going to get better. This staying the same thing isn't gonna happen. The heart transplant is not gonna happen. I'm just gonna get better. They released me January 5th with a portable defibrillator called a life vest, which is basically a vest that I have to wear that has a little pouch on the side, and it threatens to shock you if your heart decides to change heart rates relatively quickly. They told me to get as much bed rest as possible, take it easy, don't do anything stressful. About 2 weeks with this vest on, I started feeling good, and I put my boxing gloves on, and I hung a string from my ceiling had a sock on it, and used it as a slip bag. And I remember my coach seeing a video I posted, and he was freaking out. He's like, take it easy, I don't want you like blowing out your heart. And I'm laughing hysterically because I feel good. I feel good. I'm monitoring my blood pressure, I'm monitoring my heart rate, and everything's good. So things are improving relatively quickly when they told me it was gonna take 6 to 12 months to just feel normal. So 2 months after I was released, I was scheduled for a routine checkup. When they looked at my heart, they noticed that my heart was back to normal. They were expecting this 12 months from then, not 2 months from then. They were asking me all these questions of what I did and how did I break the guidelines and stuff like that. And I told them I researched as much as I could about this issue. I made a plan and I executed it. So they allowed me to take the vest off. So the next day, I came to Precision and I immediately started training. I knew that no matter what, by the end of the year, if the guideline was I was gonna be an average person at the end of the year, if I even recovered, that I'm gonna break that guideline, I'm gonna be an above average person, I'm gonna compete in some sort of competition, some sort of fight before that 12-month mark. Come May, a teammate asked me, he's like, hey, there's a July card that you can fight on. And in my head, I was a little hesitant at the time because I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna fight at the end of the year. Like that was my goal, fight before the end of the year. And this is 6 months. And then I thought, like, I'm healthy, I'm in shape, I'm fit, why not? Who knows, 8 months from now, I can have another issue. So why not do it now while I can? With this fight, I feel like I do have something to prove. I feel like if you set your mind to something, then you can achieve it. I feel that hard work will show. I put in a lot of hard work in doing this, and I need it to show. I need to prove that hard work will yield results. No matter what your situation is, you can change it and you can do something great. Every day when I wake up, I make sure that I improve just a little, physically and mentally. Anytime there's an opportunity or experience for me to like improve or learn or any sort of fear, I know that it's gonna be something good that comes from it. A lot of times fear brings in the what if factor. When I was laying in the hospital bed, the only thing I was thinking about were the what if factors. What if I took that MMA fight? So fear causing that what if, I don't want to have to live with the what if factor. I want to just jump on it, go and see what is on the other side of fear. If you don't face your fears, you will not succeed. There's going to be things along the way that are very terrifying, that are very scary. And once you overcome them, you realize they weren't that big of a deal, and then you'll proceed to succeed. I believe in setting goals and striving for them and achieving them, and then setting new goals and attacking them, because I feel like if I set a goal and I'm content, then what am I living for? I need to continue to set goals and continue to improve and continue to better myself every day. My advice to someone that's not living their life to their full potential would be, do not live life with regret. You don't know how long you're gonna be here for, so do everything you possibly can to work towards the things that you want. When I was getting better and people were telling me not to take risks, like take things easy, I remember one of my friends told me, a ship in a harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. Yeah, I could take things easy. Yeah, I can say, screw this martial art training, like it's not for me now, I have an excuse, but why? Why be safe? Why not take risks? Why not go out there and go in front of a crowd and compete and perform and have that fear, have that adrenaline go through me? That's what I believe life is about.